Hey co-stars, welcome to another episode of Generation Films. My name is British Ben, and I know that all of you love to find out about the behind the scenes of movies and find out how certain things came into being. And in this video, I want to focus on how certain fictional spaceships in sci-fi borrow design elements from the real world. Just like, and you may not have realized this, but Eagle 5 in Spaceballs borrows much of its design from the 1986 Winnebago Chieftain 33. Like, it doesn't just borrow from the vehicle, it literally is the 1986 Winnebago Chieftain 33. Okay, well that was kind of a joke, because they literally just stuck engines and wings on a Winnebago. But a lot of sci-fi ships do come from designs in the real world and are a lot less obvious. So this is 5 fictional spacecraft based on real-life aircraft. Number 1, the Marvel Quinjet. Designer Phil Saunders received this brief for the Quinjet in Marvel movies. A craft that could carry the team plus pilots, travel at hypersonic speeds, and take off and land vertically on a carrier deck or in the middle of Times Square. It needed to have windows in the roof to see Thor land on it in flight, and a ramp opening at the back for loading. So yeah, really the action in the movie dictated a lot of the design elements. Here is the scene that they were talking about. Thor jumps on top, although you don't really get to see him through the windows. I guess they cut that idea, but you do see the cargo plane style ramp at the back. Now, when Saunders started the design for this ship, his first few sketches were dismissed as too science fiction-y. So he based the next few sketches on the sleek design of the F-35 fighter jet. He gave the craft a variable geometry nose that could lower when the craft landed. This was inspired by the nose on the Concorde supersonic airliner that did the same thing. The reason for that on the Concorde was to give pilots a better view of the runway during landing, since the nose cone required for supersonic flight was so long. But these designs proved too sleek for production designer James Chinland, and he asked for something, quote, more brutal. So Saunders added engines from the A-10 Warthog at the back. But he was then given a note saying more attack chopper-like, so he switched the front windows out for a window more like the cockpit of an Apache helicopter. That led to this design where the front window is like an Apache and the A-10 Warthog engines are scaled down. And it then developed into the Quinjet that you see in the movies. They added variable geometry wings, and even though the cockpit was changed to the attack helicopter style, they kept the Concorde style variable geometry nose. And the idea for the big gun on the bottom is obviously straight from the A-10. Number 2, Razor Crest. This is the ship owned by the Mandalorian in the series The Mandalorian. Some people actually think it was based on the Space Winnebago from Spaceballs. I mean, it is true that the engines and wings are kind of in the same place, but no, the engines were not based on the Space Winnebago, they actually come from the A-10 Warthog that we've already talked about. Let's just base everything off of the A-10, huh? Now, executive producer Jon Favreau described what he wanted as an army surplus vehicle. So they started off with beefed up A-10 engines and then took inspiration from World War II aesthetics. You see these two guns at the front? Well, they are very reminiscent of the nose gun turrets on the World War II Lancaster bomber. Look, they're practically the same thing. They also looked at aircraft graveyards to get the kind of jerry-rigged aesthetic of a ship that's always crashing. And the cool thing about Razor Crest is that in a time when most ships you see on screen are CGI, they actually created a physical model for the show. And although they use CGI models in the show as well, some of the shots that you see on screen are in fact the physical model, like this one. Number 3, the MG-100 Star Fortress SF-17. Seriously, why is that name so complicated? I'm just going to call it the Resistance Bomber from now on. So the Resistance Bomber appears in the movie The Last Jedi, and while it is a cool design, dropping bombs in space just makes no sense. Like, there's no gravity for bombs to fall. Where is down? I don't know. And why do they approach so slowly? Like, what is the reason for that? But I think that was the least of the problems with that movie, so instead of ranting, let's just focus on the designs. So the Resistance Bomber was basically the B-17 bomber from World War II. See that turret on the B-17? There's one exactly the same on the bottom of the Resistance Bomber too. But the main similarity of these two craft was that they could drop bombs. Lots of bombs. The B-17 bomber was designed to attack in fleets. It was a strategic bomber, and it would drop a lot of bombs so they'd be sure they would hit their target. In fact, the B-17 dropped more bombers than any other plane, any other US plane during World War II. And the Resistance bomber did the same thing. They even used the same one-liner. Number 4. The H-8 Global Defender. The H-8 Global Defender was a space superiority fighter in the movie Independence Day Resurgence. You know, that movie that featured the Death Star, Angela Baby, who, to be honest, no one was really sure why she was in the movie, and Chinese moon milk. Anyway, we're not here to talk about how the producers of that movie pandered to the Chinese market at the expense of rationality in the plot. Let's focus on the H-8 Global Defender. Now, there is very little information about the design of this fighter online, but from the images we can see that it does borrow heavily from both US and Russian fighter jet designs. The original plane used to fight against the aliens in the 1996 Independence Day movie was the F-18 Super Hornet. You can see the H-8 keeps the twin tail design, but they face inward instead of out. The way the cockpit of the plane curves out of the body is also very reminiscent of the Russian Sukhoi Su-27. The Russians also like painting the nose of their plane white, which the H-8 has too. Anyway, these planes really do kick butt, and I would like to know more about the design process. It was one of the good things from an otherwise mediocre movie. What was that? The Chinese embassy's asking me not to talk about Independence Day Resurgence? Let's move on. And number 5 is the Supremacy. This is Snoke's mega-class Star Destroyer from the movie The Last Jedi. Terrible movie, but they did get creative with the ship design. And we're going to go back to bashing The Last Jedi now that the Chinese won't let us talk about Independence Day. Anyway, the ship is a flying wing design, about 60 kilometers wide. That's probably like 10 miles or something. And from previous videos that I did about this on the Generation Tech channel, we know that it is bigger than New York City, it's bigger than London, and it would stretch across the English Channel. Flying wing designs have been around for a long time. The Nazis actually designed several prototypes of a flying wing aircraft during World War II, the last of which was the HO-229. This prototype was captured by the Allies. It was restored in 2014 and is currently on display in the Smithsonian. In the first Captain America movie, we see a plane based off of the HO-229. And although the HO-229 V3 prototype never flew, we do know that the design is viable because 2 years after the war, Northrop Grumman came up with this, the YB-49 prototype flying wing aircraft that did actually fly. And from that, flying wing designs progressed to the B-2 stealth bomber that we know today. And then obviously the mega-class Star Destroyer in Rian Johnson's ridiculous movie is based off of that. And so guys, that's the video. Which one of these is your favorite craft? Or maybe there are some that we missed. Leave your comments below. I'd love to know. Also, if you want to do what we do, talking about fictional spacecraft or any other topic for that matter on YouTube, I want to let you know about a secret project we've been working on called YouTube Viral Mastery. It's a course on how my business partner and I built 9 YouTube channels with over 2 million subscribers. It's been a heck of a ride, thanks to you guys. So if you're an aspiring YouTuber, as a free preview of the course, just click below and check out our masterclass on how to start a 6-figure YouTube channel without making all the stupid mistakes we've made along the way. Interested? Check out the details below. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're new, check out the masterclass if you're interested, and we will see you next time. Bye bye.